Hello and welcome to Beth of Fresh Air. That's my attempt at an intro. I know it's a little bit on the amateur side, but I was just playing and having fun. And yes, it is my music. That's from an album that I wrote, my first actual recording that ended up on iTunes and Spotify under the name Vijaya. So it's Vijaya. Living Knowledge. So you won't find this one under Beth Martin's because I was under an assumed persona at the time, which goes back to my days in India. So here's the name of the album, and you can find it in all of the usual suspect places. If you don't do all of those usual suspect places for music, then I do sell all four of my albums as MP3 downloads, which I know is really unusual to even have those these days. But so I have a special outro planned for you guys. I'll probably get better at doing that, so any feedback is welcome. I just don't have a lot of skills in the video department, and my son has a full-time job now, the one with more skills. But what the heck? I've always been someone who was willing to just start somewhere. And yeah, it's not perfect yet, and maybe it will never be perfect. And perfect is the enemy of done is one of the ways to say that. I help people to release a program that says if it's not perfect, something really bad is going to happen, like you'll die or somebody else will die or everybody dies without things being perfect. And so welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is episode number 2. I'm super excited. We've had a little bit of a turn in weather around here. Let's say it's gone from what seemed like the infinite summer to a pretty solid fall and lots of rain and gloom. I went for my first tan today. That I don't care about tans. I do care about UV light. And I know that my body really quickly, here for class. Kelly, nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. Great comments on the last one, by the way. That I know if my body and eyes don't see the sun and the light, that influences us. I'm here in Canada. We got at least 6 months of this ahead of us. Not to say that we won't see the sun. The prairies are typically a sunnier place. So if you go to either coast of Canada, you're going to find much more, like rain and gloom and cloud all the time. Whereas our winters tend to be sunny, which is really cool. And I have a system of going to jump on my trampoline in the winter. Sometimes after my mom passed away and I got her fur coat, which I never really thought I wanted until she was gone. And then I wanted her coat. And then so I'll jump on the trampoline in a fur coat, make a spectacle of myself, but let the sun see my eyes. And you want to start doing that. Yeah, it seems to be really good. I like it. I'm in and out of that bed in 5 minutes because it's a very strong UV. That's the most that I can handle without having a detox reaction. And so it's very efficient. I show up, I jump in, I leave in 7 minutes, and I can get on with my life. So I like it. And you're very welcome. Hello, Mike New. So great you could make it. And I appreciate that. That was a demo version of a song Upadrashta, which I've had repeatedly in my head. I'm actually going to do a piece on it either this week in the House of Free Will, or it could be next week, depending on how that goes with my weekly snippets. I have a guest that's going to come and give a talk on, before I get into today's topic, I'll just say that there's a lot of, I can't say it any other way, but just like the fake law or the fake and gay law, alternative law stuff is making a resurgence out there. And so we're starting to see some of the stuff that was more popular in 2020, we're starting to see come a bit more or a lot more to the forefront, getting shared around and, pumped back in. And people have amnesia. They tend to forget that, there's that like crazy guy that came in, one of them in particular tried to co-opt my law groups. He literally said, I've found my flock, my missing flock, and here's my people. And so he tried to take over and, give us all of the knowledge. And of course, it's all mangled with the Bible and all of that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of sideways. So, hello, Miss Lola is awake. Better late than never. Absolutely. Sandra, so great. I'm glad we could connected this week. That was super nice. Thank you for that. And like man on the land, exactly, kind of stuff. Exactly. Yep, all of that. So, we're going to be doing a private talk with an individual. By the way, am I glitching out on you guys? I literally just got a new renewed internet yesterday and I seem to be glitchy. I hope it's not the case for you guys. I shouldn't be glitchy because it was a so-called improvement. And yeah, so I'll talk about the phone quickly after. But yeah, so this guy, he tried all of the man on the land, all of the, birth certificate as a trust, all of the capital letter name as a corporation. No glitches. Excellent, Mike. Thank you. And he tried all of that stuff actually in court, one of the few that went and did practical stuff rather than just like studying and learning and thinking we're getting somewhere, which is more like me because I didn't have any confidence to try any of that stuff. And then he got slammed and banged around and got his hand slapped and had judges do this. And he never did get what is it, OPC litigant charge, that they created a whole category for all of the fake and gay stuff that wastes the court's times. And so he let that bruising be the inspiration for going to learn for real, the real deal. So he's like gold in my community. And I'm able to have a conversation with him. We have 2 roundtables in the law already recorded for the House of Free Will. And it's dispelling myths about the birth certificate and the all caps name. And, you wouldn't believe how we just make shit up when we don't know. So it's not to say that everybody's a liar and actively trying to mislead us. That is part of it. There are, I think, those out there. Absolutely. Yeah. Fake and gay sovereign, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. But, so these myths come about sometimes innocently. People just, when you don't know, you want to know. And so you go into your imagination and you try to marry up your imagination with logic. You try to make sense. It's not wrong. Go ahead, try to make sense. But when you just simply fill in the blank with something that you thought of, then that could mislead a whole bunch of people. So I'm on a little bit of a bandwagon right now, especially with a resurgence of stuff into our airwaves, that we could dispel a few more of those myths, especially, everybody's really worried about digital ID and then, yeah, so I just don't want people to have the myths, if at all possible, if I can be a help in that way. That would be good. Save some time also just saying everything is fake and gay all the time. And let's see, I could put up a banner for Beth of Fresh Air. And so what else was I going to just say about the phone? Okay, I just want to share a funny story about a call yesterday that my internet had expired. I don't know about you guys, but I've been playing a little bit of a game with the phone companies for a while. First of all, I don't need a landline. The last time I booked internet service, the company said, if you want to cancel your phone, it's going to be way more expensive. And then, so they gave me a really good deal just to keep the phone line. They want me to have that. I don't know, maybe something glitches out in their world otherwise. And so I paid less for more. And that seemed good. So it came to an end and I was trying to get through. So finally I just called the lady because their stupid website doesn't even work. And then the first guy tells me, he quotes me about $50 more than I had been paying. And I just went like, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I totally disagree with this. If I can't find any kind of better arrangement with you, I'm just going to cancel my service and I'm out of here. And he's like, oh, just a minute. So he sends me to some other person, and then now I ended up with a better service for a couple of dollars less. So never take a first offer of a phone or an internet company. They, at least here in Manitoba, you can always call them on this kind of crap where they just keep making special offer, and then they just end up, if you don't pay attention, then you end up being just taken advantage of as a existing customer kind of thing. Anyway, that's my speech. I thought it was funny how they can just kind of lie to you and say, oh, it's this much. See if they get away with it, right? And hello, Kirta. Am I saying your name right? Kirtia, maybe. Nice to have you here. I'm glad you could make it. And it's always just a fight away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just a fight away. Yeah, yeah, it can be exhausting. At least it's only every 2 years that I have to have a conversation like that. So, yeah, and I'm getting more polite. It's actually a good thing to see that I'm not quite as fighty as I have been in the past, and I would always end up having some unnecessary stress, and it's still stressful, but I'm just nicer about it now, and that's a good progress, I think, personally. So I would love to hear how you guys are doing. I have been in the process of having a whole bunch of conversations with my community. An amazing exercise, by the way. It has worked incredibly well for me. It was like, of course, that's the reason I put it out first, is because I felt stuck and wasn't able to really move forward and have with a clear vision or a sense of like joy or inspiration, which I need to work. That's what I need. I can go through some motions a little bit, but if the inspiration isn't there, then yeah, yeah, you just can't. It's not going to do. You went through a similar thing with Virgin yesterday. Yeah, I know. It's funny. Exactly. And Achille agrees. That's great. And so what has, maybe I'll start with that. What has come forward with it? A lot of things. And I'm going to be spending some time with that. I think it would make excellent blogs or even live streams or both to talk about my findings, because it's a kind of research project. And these days in the relationship that it ends up being, potentially one to many, that, it's been fun because every single person I got on the phone with felt like they already knew me. And hey, Maya, Maya, Kirtia is your daughter's name. Exactly. Okay, fun to have you. I'm glad you're here, Maya. And be the same without you. And then so people get to know me, and I'm pretty transparent in my worlds, especially in the House of Free Will, by the way. But I don't get to know them in the same way, and sometimes it feels like I'm just messaging out to the void, and you don't know who's going to see what. I do very much appreciate any kind of comments or the participation that you guys make in the chat. It makes it way more interesting and fun, I think, for everybody. And SB Elger is in the room, who's that guy that did the birth certificate stuff, and that's in the House of Free Will. Yeah, like who debunked it? It's he is operating under the name Mark Fields, so you can find that resource. It's called a Roundtable in Law, and he'll be coming on again. So really nice to see SB. I've been actually thinking about you. Maybe it's time to reconnect, have you on or something. Be fun. And where was I going? So yeah, I'm gonna maybe do a series of articles in my findings, because it's just like there's some food there for me when I speak to people, and I know they're real people out there on the other side of the screens and the emails. And yeah, SB's getting some love. That's awesome. He's a good one. And but the actual conversation, the actual exchange, the and sometimes they're Zooms, sometimes they're phone calls, but the exchange of energy is palpable. There's like, oh, I see you, oh, I hear you, oh, I get you, and oh, here's what we have in common, here's where we might differ. And this is one of the things that I pride myself about in the communities that I've got, the House of Free Will, and say my King Hero chats, and the people that are around me in courses or any kind of environments, meetings, whatever it is. They don't all agree on everything by any stretch of the imagination. Good luck with that. Good luck with finding anybody and everybody that will agree with you all the time. It just doesn't really. I don't think God intended that. We're unique on purpose by design. But do we have to fight it out? Is there any name calling? None whatsoever. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. Glad you could make it. One-way window. Yeah, exactly. And so then there's yeah, that exchange. It changes everything, that because then it makes it real. For me, it might more easily be real for you guys, and then this taking in of some information, like, where are you at, what are you struggling with. I'm actually now, I got so many offers to have that conversation with me. I got 80 people responded, and I am not able to accommodate 80 people for real-time conversations. So I am right now in the process of creating an on-paper version. And it's been fantastic because over the course of, I don't know if I talked to 25 or 30 people so far, and some still yet to come. I've got some really good insight about how to move forward. I am creating a new course, and it's not new work, but it's going to be a companion to my Journey Code coaching training for people that want to know how to deprogram and how to be able to clear their visioning skills, and using all the tools of deprogramming and the archetypes, but for personal reasons rather than professional, so that they don't necessarily want to be a coach. And it will be the perfect way to prepare people to get the most out of Journey Code as well. I was having a conversation with a close friend the other day who did Journey Code, and this would have been the perfect first step for them. So, and SB says, awesome, thank you. Let's have a private conversation. Definitely consider some kind of broadcast together. That would be fun. Yeah, I'd like it. I don't know if it's seasonal. I'm going to just start to get to like, oh, SB, I need to talk to him. Some kind of thing. So that's been super fun. It's helped me to, right, like the very thing that now I want to help other people with. This process has already helped me with exactly that, to have a clear vision, to be inspired, to be creative, because I'm the happiest when I'm doing that. And I was just talking to a mom of 3 young children, and you think about what is one of the greatest services that you could be to your children would be to demonstrate daily, not necessarily off in the future, because vision sometimes implies like, oh, down the line, and there can be a timeline definitely on the way a vision plays out. But what if it was your every single day of your, what if it was every single day of your life where you demonstrated vision and inspiration and the creative force that comes from that? What would that be like for your children? That they would take that example in, what would they do with it? How would they mimic that and take your lead and create that kind of way of living for themselves as well? So that's more or less, I will be sharing a lot more about that in the future. And so if you're not already in touch with me by email, then, and you might be interested in giving me some feedback, but via not paper, but by answering some questions and seeing what I've put together so far, then that would be awesome. You can just put your hand up and let me know. You can sign up for my archetype quiz at the King Heroes Journey. Actually, it's not that, it's bethmartins.com. Or just put up your hand here, message me, smoke signals, Telegram messages are good on either of my King Hero. The channel, I guess you can post comments, and then the chat as well is a good place. Any place is good. Facebook, X, I'm up on X. So there you go. I went right to the end today. Now let's see if we can play on that a little bit. And yeah, there's lots of ways to be creative, including criminally. Yeah, well, I don't. I won't have anything to do with that, though. I can't regulate how people use this work and what they're going to do with it. So yeah, it absolutely can be inverted, like everything, right? You're tasked with choosing how, what to do it for the good of you and humanity, or not. And count you in, Michelle. Awesome. Sounds great. Really good. Yeah, I was wondering about that, whether it would be good for people who've already done the deep dive of Journey Code. This one, by the way, I'm pretty sure is going to be called Creator Code. I was trying really hard not to use the word code again, but it's the perfect word, because when I was in a very precarious situation, nearly losing my life, having what I felt to be a near-death experience, then I downloaded a whole bunch of code about my life. It wasn't, like an instruction manual. That would have been nice. Or like, here's how things are going to go manual. It looks like God doesn't talk that way. But I certainly did download a whole, um, sense of what I am doing here, what needs to be done, what if I was to have died in that moment, what would have been the place to pick up and just begin again at the same spot. So yeah, this is something I definitely want to help people with. And hello, Mary Benyon. Nice to see you. You're just joining and have to watch the replay to catch up. Well, I'm glad it will be there for you later. These, by the way, live streams all get uploaded to iTunes and Spotify and several other channels like that after the fact, so people can listen as podcasts and download it and listen at their leisure. We are right now live to Facebook and YouTube and X, and Rumble is up and running as well. I believe I did upload to Rumble last week's episode since I missed live streaming it. Kind of decentralized around here. So yeah, one of the first things I wanted to talk about was on the theme of a bird's eye view, is looking at life from the end, kind of just like what I was talking about, where most people don't have the great fortune of nearly dying when they're young. Some people do. Some people have that from more of a child perspective, where they had a bad accident. I had a little bit of that where I nearly drowned in a pool when I was super young, jumped in and just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not floating. I'm not swimming. And like they could pluck me out of the water. But it really wasn't until I was 29 years old, which I still considered to be young, forgive me, when I thought, okay, this is it. I'm not going to survive this, and here I go. See ya. And the view from that place in life is very, very, now I want to say high, because we're talking bird's eye view here. It doesn't mean it's like higher. It just means that it's an expanded vision. And you had a bird's eye view dream last night. That's amazing. So that you see from a distance. And what do you typically see when you see at the end of your life is you see everything that came before it. And it's a cliche, but it's a very true one, that when your life is threatened, you see your life flash before you, right? You get a life review. And you might notice also every mini death in life, meaning, maybe you're not completely threatened. You're not on the edge of total destruction. The heart's still beating, the lungs are breathing, the rent's paid. There's some things are still life, signs of life, but you still have a kind of like shock to your system or a full stop of some kind, a breakdown. I talked about I won't go into it, but I talked about the hand breakdown, handicap situation that I have been in. And then it causes you to take inventory. Just like, is it A Christmas Carol? I don't want to start talking Christmas yet, but A Christmas Carol, it's the same kind of thing where, the bad guy ends up seeing like all of this little play-by-play of his life and how all of the events added up in a meaningful way to tell a story, but also to shape, maybe sculpt out how the product looks or how the end looks, or what was the result of all of this. Hello, Annie D on Rumble, nice to see you. I don't know what those marks mean, but I bet their emojis are Trump nod. Okay, I haven't memorized those ones. And seeing the seer is very important. That's the punchline, Michelle, by the way. Then you went right to the deepest possible meaning of all of that work of visioning and seeing. And so when you get the life review and you are aware of, there's usually some kind of remorse, like, oh, why was I such an asshole to every person I ever talked to about my phone plan or about the, something in the public, some banking situation or whatever. If I got to the end of my life and I had never improved in that area and become kinder and more patient and, not having to say every stupid thing that comes to my mind. Although I did say, like, the first thing, of course, they're all not Canadians. Now it's fascinating when they answer the call. They must have had so many people say, like, what country are you in? Did I call India? Did I call Pakistan? Now they say, oh, it's so and so from Edmonton. And that's new. We never heard that before. So they have to assert that they are in Canada. Why? Because they don't sound like that. And then I said, where are you from? And he goes, Edmonton. And I was like, no, no, where do you come from? And so I'm being an asshole. Like I just want to point out that you don't come from here. Why do I need to do that? So maybe I'll get better. But I don't think I made him feel bad. It's anyway. And so, yeah, the life review, it's a very important element. And the beauty is you don't have to wait until you're near dead for it. That will just bring it on in Technicolor. You won't avoid it. It'll just be like, ooh, your whole life will turn into a montage and series of little movies that could be regretted, right? Like that's the thing about your deathbed, where people, if they're suffering regrets, it I think is probably, of all the pain in life, it would be a contender of the top. What do you think? Top, for sure in the top 10, could be in the top 5, could be in the top 3 greatest pains of life is the regrets. So some of you might have heard me tell this story before, but this was a very profound moment when I was studying in India, which is ironic that I traveled. I went through great hardship and expense and to travel to India 8 times. And now here I am complaining. And then, so we were sitting in front of the guru on the mountain, the white bearded wise man, who turned out to not be all that wise. He had some wisdom, though. He had good things. So I don't baby in the bathwater with it. And I can still go back. I'm reclaiming a little bit of some goodness and inspiration from those days, and or even a lot. And so he asked us, and I'll ask you guys right now, what are you going to regret on your deathbed? Right? And if you're brave, you could put it in the chat. And you don't have to. Also, I won't, of course, I can't force you. Can't force anyone to do that. So that's a big question. What will you regret at the end of your life? So just using your imagination, I'd love to hear even a couple of answers. While that we're waiting, hello, Heart Honer. Nice to see you. Near death is near life to what's truly living, and what isn't may reveal to be useless. Near death is near life to what's truly living, and what isn't may reveal to be useless. I sort of get that. I think that I like that. Yeah, near death is near life, and it's very revealing. So yeah, I get that part. And you're just reading Ernest Becker's Denial of Death. Yeah, death is such a good study. I talk about that a fair amount, and too much. You said that you had that conversation with God last night. And hello, Artis here. I'm sorry I missed you yesterday. We had I think we had a glitch of some kind timing-wise. We were about to meet and talk, but didn't work out, unfortunately. And yeah, so the regrets can be intense. And then so when we all sat there with a heavy look on our face after the teacher asked us, unless there's anybody else that wants to chime in, he said, what are you going to regret? That which you regret right now. And to me, that was like the most amazing answer of all, and the truest answer. And you don't know what you will regret, but you're not sure if that will be ongoing. Not forgiving yourself. Yeah, I can see that. So that simplified it a lot. Like, what are you regretting right now? Not doing the thing that you want to do, not healing the thing that you know needs to be healed, not doing the very best for your health that will pay in dividends, especially over time, and especially towards the later years. I'm extremely aware about how toxicity builds up over time. That's true physically, and that is true both in your mind, your heart, and the emotional body. I don't say that very much, but toxicity accumulates. So everything will get harder in the later years. That I'm I'm very aware of, and I've seen people go through those times of their life. And so it's not a bad idea to prepare. Am I going to regret just having a fast and loose lifestyle, or eating whatever I want all the time, or just doing everything for pleasure, even though there's an awareness of it being of harm? That's the hedonist shadow there. And Em said, yeah, that's what you asked God for last night, to forgive those that you can't forgive and help you forgive your many transgressions. And then you had the most beautiful dream. Wow, amazing. Very nice. I love that. I talked about forgiveness in the House of Free Will in a snippet at least. And I talk about forgiveness like it is not a technique and not a tool, not an action that you take. It is a result. It's a result of healing. So if you try to forgive when you say you can't forgive, that's why it's not a tool. Then you're just faking it. That's what, if you actively try to forgive somebody, that's just suppressing. But if you do the work to actually heal the wound and deprogram the wound, then forgiveness happens. It's the same thing. Deprogram the vision, inspiration happens. You can't say anybody like, be inspired. Be inspired. It's a result. So that's my 2 cents on that. And Mary said you would regret not being yourself sooner in life. You spent most of your life living according to other people's expectations. That's brilliant, Mary. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's something that I wish for everybody, because there is incredible freedom in that, just being yourself. There's no story you have to come up with. There's no premeditated anything. There's not like, who should I be? There can still be a little bit of that. Like, for example, if I'm just totally myself in public, in public dealings where it won't suit the situation or my needs or them, for me to just say who I am and how much I hate their institution or stuff, all that kind of stuff, that's anyway, I think you would get it. And yeah, Mara, nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. And you would regret not being your full self. That's really, really good to know. That's such a beautiful one. Yeah, amazing freedom comes there. And Mike said he would regret not making the time to reach your creative goals while life goes by. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really dear to my heart as well. I've heard that from a number of people. And that is why I am in the process of putting together Creator Code, which is going to be a 12-week course as opposed to the 7-month course. So there's only 3 months. And it's going to be for those who want to use the deprogramming work and the archetype work as a way to uncover their own inner vision. Visions inevitably lead to inspiration. Inspiration leads to action. Action leads to creation. So that's how it became Creator Code. And all of that code I downloaded, and I'm still decoding to this day, but it's taken me a long way. So really good that you guys could actually know what it is that you're going to regret. That's powerful. If you let yourself feel the pain of that now, which I'm not happy that you have that pain, but it's better than putting it off and suppressing it and then reaching a highly compromised state at the end of life and not being able to do anything about it, right? Can you imagine that, where you physically don't have the ability? Or I watched my mom lose her ability to speak. All of a sudden, she wasn't gone, but her speech was gone. And it was like, wow, I wish I'd asked her a lot more questions, right? It was one of those, and you're like, in Creator Code, awesome. I'm so glad. I'm pretty happy because I really wanted to use that word code. And I realized that the two training, or the course and the training are really companions. They're not totally separate. One is definitely going to, the Creator Code will be simpler. It will be easier for people to get into, because it won't be about actually teaching the work and guiding other people as a coach in it. Those are incredibly highly nuanced. I take it pretty seriously in the teaching of it, but just getting the skills and doing the work, it's not as complicated. So most of the time is going to be spent in class Like, yes, some learning, but mostly doing and practicing and getting coaching and actually having breakthroughs, seeing it work. I'm going to put people together in probably pods, maybe at least pairs, but maybe groups of 3 or 4, so they can have a little network of people that they can hold themselves accountable to doing the work. And it's more enjoyable when you share it, and the relationships tend to go on and on into the future. So very good. I'm glad that you like it. And then that was the beautiful feeling in your dream. M said you were shown yourself without ego shackles. Wow, that's a powerful dream. Some people need psychedelics for that. That's really awesome. I'm glad. And it's reminding you of author Philip K. Dick's talk about God creator as the programmer. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Very interesting topic that, I always talk about it. There's one person who's going to join in the very first creator code already. And so she was saying how she can't wait to, deprogram and reprogram. So I always have to say, there's no reprogramming in my world. None. Zero. And I won't say zero because I'm programmed by Jeff Berwick's videos that he always does that. Even though I don't watch very much, it's amazing how that came in. And I will say a little bit about that too. Why does every pen in my house not work? It's amazing. Why do I keep them? I'm going to have to throw them all away. Start fresh. And okay, where was I here? So yeah, there's no reprogramming. And to me, everything is installed. That would imply God, the creator, as the programmer, right? Put everything that we need in, all the good stuff, all the real stuff. Could be, we could give words to the unnameable, like freedom and love and vision and inspiration and faith and trust. And if we go through the archetypes, power and all of the things that really truly are what make life worth living, the simplicity, the energy, everything, it's all installed. It's already all there. There's nothing missing. So that's a paradigm that I work with. There's nothing to add to you. And but there is a lot of takeaway. That's the sculpture. The wood is already the sculpture, but you got to take away what of the wood is not the sculpture, and that's more or less the deprogramming process. So let's see. Mara said, "You're so grateful you started moving and dancing again. You feel so much stronger and more calm. That's beautiful. There's nothing better than getting into your body. That's why the second module of Creator Code already I know is going to be basic somatics and breath work and body work, so that you can gain that. The main purpose of it is learning to feel, or remembering how to feel, or deepening into that ability to feel, because that is the main gatekeeper. If you can't feel, then you won't be able to do any of this work at all. So good for you. Dancing. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I actually, when I get really, really low, I start playing and moving to my own music. I don't know why I wait until I'm low to do that, but just somehow it's like I plant my past version of myself, planted some good stuff for the future. When I get stuck, I just listen to my own music, because it's a really hopeful vibe, and it's full of life. And that person was, young and optimistic and had vision, and I can reconnect with all of those kind of things that are there, but just got some heaviness on top of them, and it makes it easier to do the inner work. So I was happy for myself for doing that. And Hart said, deprogramming remembers purity of heart and soul. Really does. Exactly. Yeah, literally does that. That's one of the things one of the archetypes I'm including in the course is the alchemist, of course, because the alchemist is the inner visionary, and they are the rememberer. And they are the ones that will take what appears to be all the shards and pieces and bits of your inner life and maybe your outer life too, and reveals the wholeness of that, which is a remembering. Exactly. That's beautiful. So seeing your life from the end is one aspect of this, a really good thing to look at. And in the process, finding patterns that have endured the whole life. That can be patterns that were positive, like I was just saying, how I, go back to my old self, and it's like, oh, you know, she was onto it. There was some good stuff, and that's a thread to follow, a purposeful one. And seeing things over time, recognizing and revealing the patterns. I spoke with a woman today in my community, and she just had woken up at 2020, which was a little bit of a harder time. I'm glad that I had about 5 years on in advance of that, so that I had some time to warm up to it, to what was happening. And so she said she got super duper consumed with all of the fear porn. She didn't call it that. I just call it that. And, she would always look at this and be down the rabbit hole and studying hard in one direction until she realized, like, I don't think it's a good direction. And then she'd find some other direction to go and study hard in and consume, take in, take in, take in. And it really, set her nervous system into fear mode with the whole thing. Now she says, say 5 going on 6 years later, she can see the patterns of it. And she can see how there's a constant stream of things to be afraid of coming into our media. So that doesn't change. But what has changed for her is her ability to see, like, oh, okay, there's another scary thing that's being talked about. And, I don't know if that's real or if it's being exaggerated or if it's an organic flood into the media, which I don't think there really is an organic flood into the media of anything anymore. I don't know what you guys think, but so now, because she's seen things over time and it's revealed these patterns, then she can sit back. She said she can take a little bit of a much more sober approach to it, and keep. I'm like this too. I'll keep the corner of my eye on stuff, and I won't ignore my own world and my own groups. I'll never ignore that. If people come and post, I'm going to give it the time of day. I'm not going to ignore it because they've decided to be around me and my world, and I'll give them the dignity of treating what they share to be important. And so that's how I keep my pulse to the ground a little bit. But the vast majority, 90, 95, 98% of my time now is in basic life and creation mode, caring for myself, having good health, spending time with my son and his beautiful new girlfriend who calls me mom. So good. I love it. I never had a daughter, but now I feel like I got one. It's amazing, like magic. And, fostering good relationships and time at the farm, time in the garden, all of that kind of stuff is really important to me. And so then this is something that, you can take that bird's eye view and look over time. So I was going to complain. I'm going to say anyway, Jeff Barrick. I've been following him for a long time. Here, let me read some comments before I jump in and malign him a little bit. You've considered publishing some of your older self-journals. Reading them helps you daily. Nice. That's amazing. Yeah, you get to see where you've come from. You get to see the goodies that you left your future self, like we were talking about. That's brilliant. Yeah. I really don't go back. I haven't gone back. There was a time when my journals were all broke into, and it was very awful breach of trust. And then I stopped writing in them. I stopped writing journals just so that they couldn't be held against me when I would share my innermost thoughts. And I don't really journal anymore, but I write quite a bit. And M said no organic flood in the media. Learned that through public relations marketing program you took in 2005. There you go. Yeah, I was the public relations team, right? That's where I came from in my family's business, and I know that I personally had influence over the media because I was sending them information and I was highly encouraging them to cover it. I would call them like, "Hey, did you get my press release? And do you want to do an interview of this person or that person or on this subject or that subject?" I could influence the media. That's how it happens. And that's just at a real grassroots one-to-one kind of level, not including these days algorithms and the whole, electronic push of information and all that kind of stuff. So very good, Maya. And so, yeah, seeing patterns over time, it's priceless. With, say, I got connected with the whole Anarchapulco community, Jeff Barwick, all those guys. And that was good. I was really glad to have found them. And when was my very first Anarchapulco? Was 2020 when I went in person, just 5 minutes before everything blew up. But I had been listening to Jeff Berwick for probably, I don't know, 3, 4 years before that already. And since I started listening to him, he has been saying that we're on the verge of collapse, that it's going to collapse this week or next week. And that he's talking financial collapse, but that, of course, takes everything pretty much out. And I saw his email come up today, and it's like imminent collapse. It's like, well, I've been hearing this for like since 2016, 2017. I've been hearing this exact message. And I have to admit, it did scare me into doing a couple of actually things that turned out not bad. But I don't recommend being driven from fear by any stretch of the imagination. And then, today it's the same. It's the same message. It's exactly the same. Let's see, what's the headline, if I can find it. Financial collapse imminent. It could be. I'm not saying it's not. It's one of the reasons I like to follow Brandon Sterling, because I can always go and check based on reality of the markets and what, where things are actually flowing, and what the whole I'm still baby. I can't make all of those words mix. I can use words, but I still couldn't, if I was tasked, I couldn't define them all. But anyway, the markers in the markets and what it's all based on, that helps me. And the constant message is, of course, they always have the remedy for that imminent collapse is, gold, silver, crypto, of course, right? Like it's always, that's the solution. And so I'll be so curious in 10 or 15 years, if we still have like internet and all that kind of thing, if the message is the same in 10 or 15 years, and then you can really look back and go like, wow, that was a pattern. And it could be true. We could be on the verge of utter collapse, but I don't think so. I mean, we're just in a bull market, but I think that might be changing. I have to get a little bit up to date, and but what I notice over time, over the course of my life, is it's been like this, up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and sometimes there was a crash last Friday, I guess. Was it last Friday? I believe it was Friday. And it was so fun because I didn't have time to look and see and get upset at all. So I didn't see it until like Sunday that it had happened. And so there was this big kaboom. And then in like 48 hours or so, it went back up to where it was. So there's this big crash. I think there was a lot of losses, and then it kept going. I'm trying not to obsessively look at anything right now, and so things just go up and down. That's how it is in that world. So, and you still follow Jeff's, but filter out. I have to take it in doses, because if I'm in a weak place, then I will be influenced by that fear, and I have to detox that fear. I have to deprogram the fear so that I can be rational and make good choices and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't mean to just malign, but it's there's a lot of people out there believe that it's not him exclusively by any stretch of the imagination. And every few months, there's a new fear of collapse or world coming to an end. Yeah, like, are we going to start to talk dark winter again? There was supposed to be another pandemic. I think they tried, and it didn't work. There was the plague and everything like that, and it just hasn't got any traction at all, which is so fun. I'm so happy about that. But the dark winter, for the first few winters, definitely had the fear of like, oh, they're going to turn the electricity off, and the heat's not going to work in Canada, and we're all going to die alone in a tiny home, something like that. So yeah, I'd been hearing the same message since you were 10 years old. It's actually really fruitful for that bird's eye view to go back and look at every single doom that was predicted, that there was going to be you know the bomb was going to go off and you had to hide under the desk. That was just before. I wasn't old enough, or yeah, I wasn't old enough to have been the hiding under the desk, but we still feared. We're taught to fear for nuclear war. And then it was going to be the ice age, the earth was going to freeze over. And then, like it's just endless kind of monkeypox, I'm saying. And yeah, so isn't that fascinating? Didn't have time to look. And so I wasn't worried. And that is the thing. Back to this theme of visioning and creating. If you're super busy creating your life, you don't have time to worry. You don't have time to check on the things that you would be worrying about, right? Like you're tied up. And that's why it's such a massive cure to what ails us. Because imagine if you got some kind of scale going on of people who were too busy to worry. What could they create? How would that add up? How would that expand into families, into communities, into culture? Right? Doesn't have to be everybody, just a critical mass number of people that are fully engaged in that every day, right? And if we are going towards impending doom, am I going to regret being inspired and alive and creating in my own vision? No, I'm going to be happy that that's how I spent the last moments. I won't regret that at all. So yeah, really good point there. And yeah, seeing how others attack is the beginning. Knowing why with viewing how the other was damaged is a new beginning. Don't totally get that heart, but you can clarify if you want. Yeah, you'll have to decode that for me. All right, so let's see what else I was going to talk about. And let's see, seeing things over time. And yeah, you get to see what has mattered over time. I think that's the main kind of, that's one of the major points of wisdom that comes from the bird's eye view, is that what has mattered. And that's the deathbed view is a really good window into what did matter, and what did you make matter, and what was important, and what wasn't important. And probably you'll have to feel the pain of that, but you'll start to see it's like, what really mattered when I just went out of my way to be available to spend time with my son and not put that off. Never, when he was super young and I had to work, and there was some juggling, and there was like some kids sharing. I had a beautiful friend who is still a great friend to this day, and her and I would trade our kids. It's like, okay, kids go there now and I work, and then kids would come here and she would work. And so I did have to, but it was never like rejecting my son and saying, I can't talk to you, I can't be with you, I can't play with you because I have to work. That I went out of my way not to do that, and to some way include him, or just to do double duty as a young, when he was young. And it was stressful, it was intense, but I just tried hard never to go, oh, I can't, I'm busy working, because that's tragic, right? And you can get to the end of their young life. And as it was, I still, missed my fair share of his young life, as our lives are so demanding But yeah, like time with my son, that's just never going to be regretted. We got to go away this last weekend. It was fabulous. We had a great time. It was like just amazing to see the culmination over time. Again, just looking at the last 18 years of life with him, how things have evolved, how the relationship has evolved, how easy it's become to be with him, how enjoyable, how much fun we're having, just being together, just goofing around, just noticing the world and perceiving the world and talking about how things are. And so that, that matters. That's always been something that is really, really important. And I will never regret any time I spent that way. Mary, you said you've been thinking about, it would be a great visual if someone made a list of all of the prophesied doom that was BS. We would be awakened just by that realization alone, walk away from the drama. Yeah, exactly. A timeline with dates so that you could like actually go, oh yeah, right, that happened there. And oh yeah, that new disease. And oh yeah, this thing and that thing. And life is the little things for the most part. Yeah. And any big thing is just a series of little things, right? It's not anything more than that. That's the beauty of the creation process. How you see, if you want to create something big, it's just a bunch of little steps over time in a concentrated way with concentrated vision and direction. So there you have it. And and then you'll see what doesn't matter, the conflicts, the breakups. Oh, here's something that I was going to talk about, how there came a point where I got enough years under my belt where I realized that breakups were fake and gay. There's no such thing as a breakup. Like, first of all, my son's dad and I broke up when he was 2. Well, no, we didn't. To this day, we still have a relationship. It's a very different kind of relationship. And, sometimes it's more remote than others, but we're never going to stop being related. You know, uh, I can see myself showing up for him even, which may not be reciprocated, but there's there's a relationship. There's no breakup, right? The last time someone tried to break up with me, I said no. It doesn't work. It's like, stop talking nonsense. And then lo and behold, you might notice every time there's a breakup, that's usually in a romantic relationship, but it can also be in other kinds of relationships. You'll notice that inevitably, maybe not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time, they come around. And I remember someone recently asking me about, like, why did you break up with so and so? Or like, why didn't you guys, they didn't use the word breakup, but why did you guys like not continue having a relationship or working together? I can't even remember who it was that asked me that. And I went like, I don't remember. Can you imagine? Like, it was the end of a friendship and I don't remember, or it was the end of something and it was enough, it was serious enough to part ways, and I don't remember. That's what happens. You actually forget the conflict. You forget why you were upset, right? You forget to have a problem. Now, you might say there have been people that have come back into my life and it brings the memories back about why there needed to be some distance there. But that doesn't mean that if they message me, I'm going to ignore and block them. I can still be friendly. I may, and the memories might flood back like, oh yeah, this is why I needed some distance from this person, and I still do. And that's still a reality. But this thing about a breakup, like, that's just fake. There's no breaking up. We are in a field of oneness. In reality, we can't break up. We're all connected. Yes, you can, not live together or not talk in conversations or all of those kind of things. But, so far, I'd say, like, anyone that I've ever gone out with, I ended up friends with. What's the breakup about, right? So yes, as things change, and that's good. But so that's one of the things that I noticed. It's no big deal to not be so dramatic about breakups. That's a stupid waste of time, in my opinion. And yeah, if you weren't in a relationship with a psychopath narcissist, so then I wasn't in a relationship with a well, yeah, well, that's debatable. And but that's different. It's some of the relationships are obligatory. So sometimes those guys that you otherwise literally would have nothing to do with, you do, because why? We have a son together. So that's reality. And so I can either make that a very like awkward, unpleasant situation, or I can make it for not, it's not for my sake, right? Like I don't need anything in that context, but to make things nice for my son. And you've had some very healthy permanent breakups with others. Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I'm just on a soapbox there about that. And so one of the tools that I offer my students who come into my trainings, and this will be the case as well with Creator Code, is a Tibetan breath technique called Tong Len. And it's super simple. You'll be able to find it if you search it. It's not big rocket science. The best things in life are very simple and easy, but they can be difficult because it's going to call you to feel things you might not want to feel. And so one of the elements of Tonglen is to connect with how many people are suffering like you are. So this is another way to bird's eye view, right? To get this big picture. So when you look and say, okay, like somebody right now in the chat, it's a very serious situation or serious story. So you could use this as a tool. Anybody could use this as a tool right now, where if there's something really serious in your life, and it doesn't have to be that, but so, just take inventory a little bit of your own, what that is to have been in that really serious situation. Just get a sense of that, what that is. And then the next part is to get a sense of how many people, maybe on earth and even through time, have suffered the same way, or in a same way, in a similar kind of fashion. And then you start to like, wow, right? Is it hundreds of people? Is it thousands of people? Is it millions of people? And see if you could have empathy not only for yourself, but also to include that empathy or compassion for all of those other people. And that doesn't take away from what you went through, but it changes the vision. Right? It really shifts it. It's not the ultimate shift, it's not the ultimate transformation. It's just one part of it. But as soon as you allow your vision to expand, then it looks and feels differently. I almost always go back to the example when I first learned this tool. I was deathly ill from months and months of chemotherapy. That was before I had my near-death experience. I was maybe halfway into 11 months of these treatments. And I was so sick, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm reading some Buddhist stuff, Pema Chodron, which she's beautiful. I'd be curious to go back with her stuff now and see how I hear it. It helped me a lot though. And the Dalai Lama, and reading about Tonglen. And then I'm like, oh no, I couldn't do that technique, because it's enough that I'm this sick. It's enough that I'm suffering this much. I couldn't imagine having to include anybody else's suffering in my awareness. That would take me out and down. But I did it anyway. I tried it anyway. And it was a very beautiful experience when I expanded and I thought of how many people there were on earth that were struggling and suffering in that exact way, going through chemotherapy, having the big C, watching their body lose its function, losing their life, having death on the doorstep, all of, and so when I allowed myself to expand my awareness to include all of them, did it make me suffer more? There was pain. Yes, there was pain, but it was more the pain of compassion and empathy, which is a different kind of pain than the woe's me kind of a pain. It's a generosity and open-heartedness kind of a pain, and it's extremely connective, right? That you can't sit and just go, oh, it's me, I'm suffering and I'm alone and I'm going through this only. So that's a perspective changer right there, which is awesome. So yeah, that's a really good one. And otherwise we tend to go through life at a variety of different levels. I keep watching Home Math, who's turned into Psychomath, which is kind of funny, rebranding, because he wants to get away from exclusively talking about dating to also, discussing the psyops and everything like that. I think he's a really good force. He's not perfect. He's bitter. He's young, but he's got a really good handle on being able to reflect on how people think, and rather than just judging them for not thinking like you do, to be able to contextualize it in like, okay, well, that's where they're at. That's their capacity. That's their, he would call it, level. I believe it's based on Ken Wilber's work, which I guess some people like and don't like. I haven't done a super duper deep dive. I mostly get like bits and pieces from a variety of people, not right from the source. But there's some similarities. The levels are kind of archetypes. And so, there's the base level where people are in that lizard mind and they just say like, can I eat it or is it going to eat me? Right? That's their main modus operandi. That's their way of being in the world. Yes, Psychomath. And, so it's survival. It's like, am I going to die or do I have to kill to live? Or, some of those really stark kind of questions, the way that a lizard does, or our lizard brain does. And I don't mean to put lizards down. I like those guys. But there's a lot more perspectives going on than that. And being able to consider even what one other person is thinking and feeling, and have that empathy and be able to expand your awareness out of your own kind of, this is what I'm going through experience, that's what we need to do. That's what we're here to do, to up level, you could call it. That doesn't necessarily mean that getting to the higher levels is a big favor. People get stuck in those higher levels. So it's actually worth time to check out. He's got a couple of good videos. The videos are getting better. I reached out to him to ask for an interview and he actually responded. He said he would consider it, though that my audience isn't big enough. So darn. But nonetheless, I might, I don't know. It was fun to make a connection because he is a smart one and they're rare to be able to see like that. So yeah, the whole thing is like the unnecessary division that gets created when we don't have a vision, we don't expand our awareness to include what other people are thinking, to not reflect on our own thinking, even to not question our own thinking, to not question our own feelings. And people say, oh, well, then you're telling me to doubt myself. No, not at all. I'm telling you to investigate and to look in and to find the deeper truths, and to let go of anything and everything to prove to you whether it's there or not, like what's actually real. You can't let go of something that's real, right? You can't let go of God's installation of love. Good luck with that. You can't let it go. You can bury that in a lot of stuff and make it like it's not there, but you can't let it go. So then this is, to me, the whole beautiful trajectory of visioning and learning to make clear decisions, and based on that, having some solid goals, and not gold, but goals can be gold, is that ultimately, like, not only is it going to be the impetus for greater connection, it's that you can't, in fact, do it without it, because there's no visioning in a vacuum, right? It won't be a vision if it only includes you in your living room or your bedroom or wherever you are. Then it's not true. It's not true vision. True vision to me is what connects. And that's why we're going to study collective consciousness to the degree that awareness could be expanded to include it. That's where this, you get the vision and you start to see people and you start to see how you fit in that context. And yeah, so that connectivity, I think, is a very good goal, to be related, to stay connected. And of course, with people who aren't harming you, that's like a absolute given. If you stay with people who are harming you, with some very, very rare exceptions, like your child, that even then there's some debatableness, and we want to be connected to that which is life supporting. So yeah, interesting that you can't feel other people's pain, or they can't feel yours. But then, so what would you call empathy? And yeah, people couldn't feel your pain at the time, so this might be some kind of esoteric experiment. It sounds esoteric, but I don't think it is. Maybe it is esoteric, but it's still real. Hart said, your own words probably aren't articulate to describe the depths of quotes. Oh, those were quotes. Okay. Maybe just some words missing or something from the sentences. Paragraphs are required. Deep topics are larger. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, deep topics are harder for a yeah, and you're limited in the chats. Maybe not on Facebook. Actually, I think you can make a longer paragraph there, but for long form conversations, I do recommend the House of Free Will, where you could become a member, you could join, and you could be part of these conversations. We have meetings every week, small, intimate gatherings. They're not recorded, they're private, and they're exactly the place for those long form discussions and to really explore the ins and the outs. And I always say the word nuances. I can't say the word nuance enough, because absolutely every subject is full of them. You can't just blanket say, this is that, this is good, or this is that. It's one of the reasons that I like Garrett Smith's work, that every time you ask him if something's good, he sends you to the experiment of trying it. So my latest experiment in the Love Your Liver world, we picked up, I heard that he taught that Vaquero beans. If you guys are familiar, is anyone, put up your hand if you've ever heard of Vaquero beans? It's VAQUER beans. I had literally never heard of them. Here come the sirens, just so you know, not to be scared and run away. But so you can't get Vaquero beans anywhere, organic at least. I mean, I've never seen them. I had never heard of them. So I found there's a place, Rancho Gardo in the US, and they could ship, but only to the border. I couldn't get them shipped to Canada. So I'm like, okay, all right, looks like, and we do border runs, right? There's things I can't get. And so I purchased 10 pounds of Vaquero beans. Nope, no one's heard of them ever. They're high in calcium. So that's why they've come up recently as potentially calcium is missing from the Love Your Liver diet. And that's been recently added sources of calcium more so. So then, yeah, I ended up picking up 10 pounds of Vaquero beans, and I discovered that they look like little cows. They're kind of like, you know how cows have some brown spots and white spots, and they're beautiful. I love beans, or they are like aesthetically really nice. They feel nice. Wouldn't you like to get into a whole bath of dried beans? Wouldn't that like be amazing? The feeling on the skin. Anyway. And we harvested a ton of dried beans at the farm this year, so we're going to have quite a mess of those coming up. And the Vaquero beans, they're quite delicious. I like the taste of them. So I messaged to Garrett and I just said, don't do this, by the way, but I just said, like, oh, did you know they're not white? Because white beans are basically going to be the lowest in the poisons, lowest in polyphenols, and he said, oh, okay. And I said, well, is it kind of like that because in this world where you're micro looking for this is again a beautiful big picture kind of example where, you can't just go like this food good, that food bad. You can look at the totality of it. And that totality must also include, how do you do with it? Because say, if you got oats, good. Well, and then somebody comes and eats oats and it makes them feel bad. Doesn't mean oats are bad, but it means that oats are not good for that person. So I used to eat a lot of oats. Now I'm down to like just a small amount of oats because that's better for me. And so you have to. So he turned it on me, and I said, is it this, like, is the lemon worth the squeeze? Since there's some color and some polyphenols, which means antioxidants, which means that which is actually not, it's going to slow down your detox rather than keep it running. And so he turned it back to me and he said, like, well, what is it? Is it good for you? How are they for you? And I'm like, oh, okay. So for 24 hours, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just make the experiment. I'll try them. I have 10 pounds. And I don't think there's going to be any sending them back from here. So, and then I got brave and I said, well, what's your experience with them? And then he said he hadn't tried them yet. So I am in my community, I think the first Vaquero bean pioneer, although I believe a woman, Morty, who I might interview, is also tried them. So yeah, what was my point about that? The funny looking beans that look like cows, and the bird's eye view, where it's, you have to look at the nuances and you have to see what is that sum total. And this is a alchemist kind of thing. When you're looking for a sum total, you think of it as just like the addition, add this, add this, add this, add this, add this, but you're also looking for the wholeness that isn't just the sum of the parts. That can be very different than just the simple addition. That can, the intellectual exercise of adding the things, the wholeness can be different. And that I find especially true in people. So yeah, lots of nuances, and it's good to take that bird's eye view and look at reality. How does it actually play out? How does it work for you? Because when you have an idea that something's good and it's not good, there's a very high chance that you're going to stick with the thought that it's good and ignore the fact that things are not working out for you. So yeah, sounds like they're good for chili. I think, yeah, anything is good for chili. I won't eat the kidney beans anymore. I used to have those quite a bit. I won't have those just because they're high in vitamin A, I believe, and polyphenols. And Em said you need a lighthearted bean reroute. Very good. I like beans. They're nice. They're a natural source of glutamate, which is something we need. We're starving for. I wish I could eat a lot more of that, but it detoxes you fast. Some people have been asking for my food list, even though like Garrett wouldn't create a food list like me, but people have to start somewhere, right? If you don't have some kind of an idea about what to, what contains lower poison, right? That you just need to know what they are, somewhere to start. I know a lot of people have been trying, where's the beginning for me with this? And then, so it's good. I made a good food list. And if you come on my Telegram channel, then I will give it to you. So if you come on my King Hero chat, then let me see if I can get a link to that one quickly. People have been coming to ask for it, and that's totally fine by me. I am wanting to give people a best possible start that they could, because this stuff is very beneficial. It has benefited me a lot. I'm going to do another episode called Got Poisoned. And we'll talk about all the great poisoning. And yeah, it's interesting how I can't stay on heavy topics. I can. I'm good at that. And Mike said you really enjoyed Topher's interview. Yes, Topher's interview with Garrett was excellent. It was really good. Garrett's getting better at distilling down the information. And I don't know if he's going to take me up on it. He said he would, that I offered to interview him to get the basics down all in one live stream, 1 or 2 live streams to just like give the whole lay of the land. He's done that with some old episodes, but because he's an older version of himself and he wasn't as like strong and healthy as he is now, and some things have changed. He's gained new knowledge. He's had new experiences. He's had greater knowledge come into his awareness. And then so I want him to have a current version of that. And he agreed to let me interview him for that on his own channel, which is perfect. So yeah, Topher's interview with Garrett. I think it's not on YouTube. I've looked a few times. You can go on Topher's Telegram. It's posted there. Yeah, I don't know. I meant to ask Topher where that interview is. I just saw it on Telegram. So he has a Telegram channel under Biocharisma. I don't know if I could get his link for you. Probably could. There's his podcast. And let's see if how would I add? Maybe I don't have ability to add. I don't think it's private, but yeah, I'm not sure. Darn. Let me see. Weird. Well, I know it's not a private group. He has more than 1,000 people in there, but you can look for it, the Biocharisma podcast chat. Maybe it's because it's the chat and you have to join via the channel, I think. And let me see. He doesn't pin messages, so yeah, I can't grab it really quickly. But I did share my own Telegram. And he's on Spotify as well. Yeah, Biocharisma podcast. Yeah. It just is not on YouTube. I know I've looked for that there. Yep. And yeah, so the topic today was a bird's eye view. That's what it was. So it included a lot of different kind of angles of seeing that, your life over time, from the end of your life. I did talk about the fake and gay law movement because it's starting to flood in now, and just letting you know that if you start seeing a lot of resurgence of that stuff, that it's something to watch out for and notice and not necessarily fall for. And if you'd like to hear a talk between me and the smartest guy that I know in law right now, in the House of Free Will, it will be a private conversation. He wasn't willing to come and do a public stream, but then you can join the House of Free Will by application. I can get a link to that application as well. Apply to be a member of the House of Free Will. And just to make sure that we are related enough to get along in the private. And then, so yeah, we're going to be, it could be as early as Monday. So that could be in a few days when we're going to be doing that recording, talking specifically about the ID thing, because one of these law gurus we're going to literally pull apart one of his videos, talking about how you can go into the bank and just tell them what you want. And he said, like, say this is your ID card, and then you just hold your fingers over the numbers and you show them this, and then they'll be satisfied. And it's like, that was 2003. If it's even true what you're talking about, that was a long time ago, and it's not like that anymore. So we're going to go deep in that way, and that's going to be a lot of fun, but only private in the House of Free Will. You are most welcome to apply. When I receive an application, then I'll respond to you and send you the agreement link. The agreement needs to be updated. I'm actually going to get this guy's help on that. It's quoting things like international law and a variety of things that really just don't hold validity, but I don't know exactly how to change. At this point, the point of the agreement is to make sure that people are just agreeing to take responsibility for themselves and not be in a blame game or in a victim mentality, running around trying to make trouble with people, or feeling like they're making trouble for them, that we can be adults, grown-ups. What the heck is it? That's like, why not, right? Let's try that just for fun. All right. Well, should I start to close things out, unless you guys have any thoughts or questions about bird's eye view? I hope you've found it interesting. It was fun for me. I'm loving doing this. And so, yeah, I think that's it. I am going to queue up this new outro and wish me luck with that, how that goes. Let's see what happens when I add it to the stage. It was too big to upload to this program, so I think I'll be able to go full screen and get it to be nice and big. And then you guys can, we can still chat while it's going, because I made it 2 minutes and 36 seconds, including a piece of the same music that I had in the intro as well. And no worries. Yeah, people are suffering. That's true. And that's not to be denied. Exactly. I'm sorry you're suffering, Miss M. And love does rule. So have a great rest of your week. I'll see you back here on the Beth of Fresh Air. And next week, I believe I've got some interviews on the King Heroes channel as well. Yeah. So Danny Katz is going to be back on October 23rd. That's Thursday. We're going to talk about the masculine and the feminine. And let's see. I think that's the only interview. And then also Mike Wilkerson will be on, but I believe that's the following week on the 27th or something like that. I'll have to confirm that. But yeah, Danny Katz on next week for Thursday. So that's the next time I'm going to be on this channel. And so much love to you. I'm really glad you could come. And thanks for participating in the chat, making comments and questions. It's way more fun for me that way. And I think that's all. So much love for now. Check out this this extra and let me know what you think. Outro, I guess. Outro. All right. Bye, everyone.
Oh, my true God. Oh, my true God. Lord and supporter of all, forever free from identity. Be well, I'm dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Vadrashkanumanta Shivarta Gupta Maheshwara Paramatme Dijapi Yokto Deyasmin Purusha